there. I see there's 4 people here, so say hi if you can hear me. I remembered to put my microphone on today, so hopefully that means you can hear me. And it looks like I am up and running. So tell me if you guys are here because of the Sew 365 project, or if you're part of the Tilda Club, or if you're part of the Liberty League. I'm just kind of playing today, and I know I have some people in, hi Phyllis, and I have some people in the Tilda Club and the Liberty Club who are not all that interested in doing hand sewing. And so I thought I would show you how to use some templates and some non-templates to make hexagons, or to make some cute little quilt blocks. So that's what we're doing today. So I have made, I did this on Christmas morning I was bored. So I just went live really fast in the club group and showed how to make each of these. Well, I think I did the tree and the elf in the video on Christmas morning. But if you guys would like to see how to make these 3 little blocks that I made, they would make cute little Christmas ornaments, or you could make a little mug rug out of them or something. I used the templates from Jen Kingwell's postcard pattern. Let me see, where is it? Here it is. So this is what the postcard looks like, and it comes with the templates, and it's got directions on how to make the little triangles. She does everything by hand, but these do not have to be sewn by hand. And so I wanted to show you that today. Because they have the corners cut off, when you go to put them together, they match up perfectly, and you don't have to guess at where your triangles go together. You don't have to make any marks. So it's really fun to use those, and I'm going to show you how to cut those and sew those. And I made these 3 little blocks from those, and I thought they were really adorable. They only took me a minute or 2 to make. And I have a couple of extra of these that I listed on the website. I had them left over from the boxes last month. If you guys want some of those, it's not necessary to buy those to make blocks like this. My original version of this little elf block I made just with my just a regular rectangle strip ruler, using the 60-degree mark on the ruler. So I'm going to show you how to do that as well. And I'm just going to look at what you guys are saying. I can't see it from where I'm standing, so hi Dee Dee. Hi Thelma. Hi Anne. Hi Julie. Hi Maddie. Hey Gretchen. Thanks. I need a haircut, Gretchen. Gretchen is my lovely hairdresser who also happens to be a sewer. Okay, sewer, whatever. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to show you how to use your regular strip ruler to make 60-degree triangles that you can then make into hexagons that you can sew with your machine. I'm going to do that first because some of you don't have the templates for the other part. And so if you just want to see that part, I can just show you that first, and then you can go if you want to. Or if you want to stay and see the whole thing all together, then that's great too. And in the meantime, we're also going to talk about the Sew 365 project. So I decided, I know if you're in the club or if you read my blog post, you probably know that I'm starting a project that's going to last the whole year. I'm going to have, I'm sponsoring this all by myself, although I probably will ask some of my friends who are shop owners to come along with me. But I'll have some little prizes each month for people who post their successes in sewing every day, or in general just having fun with sewing again. Because for a few years, and you've probably heard the story, I was very burnt out and didn't want to sew. And that just makes me sad because quilting and sewing and fabric are my favorite things. So I want to help you guys love sewing again. I want to love sewing again. And so that's why we're doing this project. Dee Dee. Okay, so yeah, I think we all need haircuts. It's like, hello, it is COVID whatever time, right? It's COVID long hair time. So, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to, I just piece these two little strips together because I think it looks really cute to have a little bit of contrast in your 60-degree triangles that you put together to make hexagons. And you can turn them different ways to make different designs out of them. So I'm going to cut a few of these and 6 of these, and we're going to put them together into hexagons so you can see how you can play with them. Super fun to play with different pieces to make hexagons. You can make hexagons out of triangles. You can make them out of diamonds. You can make them out of other hexagons. Just by putting the pieces together in different ways, and you can make some really neat looking quilt blocks. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is cut this end off. I want it to be at 60 degrees. So what I'm doing is lining up the bottom of this strip with the line on my cutting mat, because I want to be able to cut this end off, and I can't line up this 60-degree line right here with the bottom of the fabric yet because I'm not far enough into the fabric. I just want to cut this end off. So I'm lining up my 60-degree line on my ruler with the line on my mat, and then I'm making sure that I'm not going off the edge of these fabrics over here, and making sure that the fabric is lined up on that same line so that I'm getting a good 60-degree angle. And my mat is so cut up that I'm probably going to have to, nope, hey, we came out good. Okay. I was going to say, I'm probably going to have to make 2 cuts on that. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do then, I've made a 60-degree cut on this side. So what I want to do is cut a triangle. So what I'm going to do is turn my ruler so that the 60-degree mark is again on the line. And actually, you know what? I take that back. I'm going to make this easier on us. I'm going to turn my fabric around. So I have a 60-degree line or cut on this side, and I am going to turn my 60-degree rule or 60-degree line on my ruler so that it's lined up with the bottom of my fabric. Oops. First of all, you have to remember how to do this, Julie. Okay. This direction. There we go. Okay. Finally got it. Okay. So I'm lining up my 60-degree line on the bottom of the fabric, and then with the top of that point. So this is going to make a 60-degree triangle. So I'm just lining up where I've cut there, and then lining up my 60-degree line on the bottom of the fabric. And I've got my first 60-degree triangle. Now the next thing I need to do is just turn my ruler. And now this is the 60-degree line. Because they have the 60-degree line going in an X, all you have to do is turn your ruler one way and turn it the other way to cut these. So it's super fast. So here's number 2. Here's number 3. Here's number 4. And I went over one of my deep grooves, so I'm going to have to cut that with a pair of scissors because I have big grooves in my mat. And here's number 5. And here's number 6. The strips that I made these out of was just a strip straight from a fat quarter. So they're not strips all the way across. Anyway, the width of fabric. So doing it this way, I'm going to have 3 that have a dark center and 3 that have a light center. So I'm just going to put them together like this so that they go opposite. So there's a hexagon made out of our 60-degree triangles. When you sew these together, if you sew just 3 at a time, you can lay out your whole quilt and just sew them in strips. So this would be the next hexagon going this way. This is probably not going to make sense until you try it, but you'll have to trust me on this. If you sew 3 at a time and lay them out on a design wall, you can just sew strips and then sew your strips together rather than having to sew a hexagon, because if you sew your hexagon together, then it's harder to sew it to the next hexagon. It's a lot easier if you sew them into, you know what? I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. Let me go ahead and sew these. So if you have hexagons to sew together, you always end up with Y seams. But if you sew these ones 3 at a time, you can just sew them into strips and make a whole quilt just out of the strips. Then you only have straight seams to sew. And these only have to be matched, your corners match straight up, so you don't have to offset your corners like you do with some triangles. So there's no guesswork. So that's the light, so we need dark on that one. And I'm just making sure that I match up and do opposites, dark and light. I'm just going to finger press this so we don't have to go back and forth. Michelle. Oh, you never knew how to use your angled lines, Dee Dee? Well, guess what? Now you do. Okay, so let me press these real quick just to make it easier to see. So I've never been a gadget girl. I admit it. I have always thought I could do anything with one ruler, and I pretty much have. This entire time that I've quilted, I've pretty much done everything with one strip ruler. Not this one. I usually use the big one, the 24x6. But sometimes gadgets are really cool. And I really do think a 60-degree angle ruler is a really nice thing to have. So if you can afford one, get a triangle ruler because they're wonderful. But if you don't have one and you want to start right away and you have one of these in your repertoire, use one of these because they work just as good. Okay, so what I've done is I've sewn 3 triangles together. And just imagine that these are different colors and you're going to put them together in a quilt. You put them all up on the wall with your hexagons together, and you put them all up on your design wall. And then the hexagon that's next to it on the next row up would go here. If you were looking at a big design wall and you had all your hexagons on there, you'd have another hexagon here and it would be like this. And then this one would be here. But what you can do is rather than sew those 2 hexagons together and then try to do those Y seams in between the hexagons, you just leave them in 3s and you can just sew a row. So this one would get sewn to this one and you have a whole row and a whole row here. And then those get sewn together and those get sewn together. And then you have one whole quilt. It looks like you've sewn it together in hexagons, but you've actually sewn it in rows and you don't have to deal with Y seams. So you'd have one here, you'd have one here, but you wouldn't sew them together in the hexagons. You'd just sew them together in rows and put your rows together. And that makes it easy. And then you can do the whole thing with your machine and you don't have to worry about Y seams. It makes it really easy to make these. Okay, so that was those. Now I'm going to show you how to use these templates that we got in the Liberty box this month, if you didn't see this on Christmas Day. So I've started out making just some strips because I like how it looks. I don't know if you can tell with this, the strips were kind of big, so you can't see it very well, but his hat has stripes going across it just like this little tree does. So I just started out sewing 1-inch strips together for the hat and for the tree. And for the house, we don't need to do that. The roof is the same color all the way across. And so, yeah, so that's what we're going to do. And then I'll show you how to make the little tree and the tree trunk. So these are super simple. They only take a minute to make. So I love my rotary mat. It's awesome for when you're doing anything with templates. I'm getting too warm. I'm going to take my sweater off. So this is just a little template. I'm using a little tiny rotary cutter because it makes it easy to get around these. Oh, my computer says it wants to restart. Wouldn't that just be lovely? I say, no, not now. Hi, Jenny. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Tracy. Have you done this before, Sean? It is great not to have to do Y seams. That is true. I don't mind Y seams too much, but I do like when I can find a hack and not have to do them if I don't have to. So what I'm doing is this template has little corners on it that you just cut off. And I love having a rotating mat. Another thing that I never thought I needed, but guess what? It is really nice to have. And I have used it so much for making masks, you know, because going around, I have mask templates, and going around the mask templates is kind of a pain. And using the rotating mat is really nice. So there's our little tree. And we'll do the same thing for the hat for the little gnome guy. I do like this little tiny rotary cutter too. It is nice. So there's our little hat for our little gnome guy. Now, when I made this on Christmas, I had not made this gnome in probably 4 years. And I forgot that I just put his little head on top of the hat, not on any other fabric. So we're going to do it the right way this time. So I used the bottom of this thread spool as a template for his head, and I just drew around it, made a half of a circle, a little more than half of a circle. And so that's going to be his little head. And I just need to cut our backgrounds. Oh, and I need to cut the roof for the house. There's just enough of this to do that with. Actually, if I do it on this side, I'll save a little fabric. Got a little edge I need to cut off right there. And there's our house roof. So this is going to be the door for the house. It's 1 inch wide. And anytime you have a 1 inch piece that you want to put into, just insert. So I'm inserting it into the house and it's 1 inch. So I just need a piece. This square turns out 2.5 inches. So I need one piece that's 2.5 inches, and I'm going to cut it in half. And when I cut it in half and put a 1 inch piece in the middle, it'll come out exactly the same size as it was when I started. So half of 2.5 is 1 1/4. So I'm going to insert this 1 inch piece in the middle to make our little door. It's 1 1/2 and 1 1/2 by 1 inch. So that'll be the door for the house, and there's the roof for the house. And now all we need is our backgrounds for the triangles. If you have a fabric that isn't a solid that you're cutting these triangles out of, you need a one right side up and one reversed. So what you can do is just fold your fabric in half. This, of course, is a solid, so it doesn't matter how I do it, but this makes it easy to cut too. So I just fold it in half. Because that makes it easier. And that way I don't forget next time if I have a patterned fabric. And again, I'm just matching up the angles so I don't waste any fabric. And I'm going to need 3 sets of these. Have you guys thought about what you want to do for your Sew 365 projects? You guys know I'm doing my little house, but I know some people want to have some projects they want to finish, and so they're going to do that. Do you guys have any ideas of what you want to do? Looking. Sandra, this template is the postcard project from Jen Kingwell. It's postcard project number 4, and it was in the Liberty Box this month. And I have a few extra left over that I overbought them because I wasn't sure how many people were going to sign up last month when we opened the cart. So I overbought the pattern. So I have quite a few extras on the website if you want them. Okay, so I think I have all of my pieces cut out. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and sew all of the little triangles together with their background pieces. Oh, great, Dee Dee. I'm going to show you guys a bunch more too. This is just the very beginning because there's all kinds of other things you can do with that 60-degree line on your ruler. Okay, so what I wanted to show you, I'm going to pull this back a little bit so you can see better here. There we go. So when you are putting your background onto your triangles, first of all, make sure that you're going the right direction. Sometimes it seems more intuitive to put them this direction, but you end up with this instead. So make sure that they're going this way where your corner is up at the top. And when you turn them together, you will see, if you've cut your little corners off, that they match up perfectly. So you don't have to guess at where you need to sew that together. If this was just a regular triangle and this was a regular triangle, the two triangles put together, you would have to offset those triangles to make sure that you had a 1/4 inch seam allowance up at the top. But because these have the little corners cut off, they show you exactly where you need to sew them, which makes it really nice. So I always do a reality check and make sure that I am putting them on the right direction. Because believe me, I have sewn them the wrong direction more than once. Okay, and now I'm just going to finger press these. I would rather have them go toward the dark, but sometimes they don't like to stay that way. And I do really love that these match up so nicely. It makes it so easy to sew them. And they come out adorable. That little tiny 2-inch tree just kills me. And you don't have to make trees out of these. You don't have to make gnomes and you don't have to make houses. You can just make triangles if you want to. And the triangles are really, really cute. And the reason that I put it into the Liberty box is that you use very tiny pieces. So it makes it really easy to use your Liberty, especially if you have scraps. Oh, fun, Debbie. That's so pretty. I love EPP. Yes, the templates are great for matching up, Gwen. I was just taking a second to read your comments. I am pressing these. Okay, so there they are, all ready to go. Here's our little hat for our gnome. Here's our little tree. So for the tree trunk, this is 2 pieces that are 1 inch by 1.5 inches. I mean, one inch by 1 1/4 inches because they're 2.5 when you put them together. And that's a 1 inch square in the center. I used a 1.5 inch by 2.5 inch rectangle for the bottom part of the gnome this time. And then for the house, I did a 2.5 inch square that I cut in half, a 1.5 by 1 inch rectangles for the door. Whoops, door goes this direction. So we just need to sew these little pieces for the tree and this piece to these 2 pieces for the house. We need to sew our little gnome face on, and then he gets sewn to the bottom piece. So it goes first, you put his face on, then you sew to the bottom piece. That way it holds his face on the bottom. I like the little diagonal stripes too, Gwen. So the first time I ever made that block, it was years ago. Probably 7 years ago was the first time I ever made the little gnome, and I made 3 of them to go on a little mug rug, and I used the extra edges that I had cut off after cutting the tree out of the center, sewed those together and made more trees for the back of the mug rug. So I am doing just very simple raw edge straight stitch applique for his little face because he's not going to be a part of the quilt. I'm not worried about it coming apart. He's not going to get washed or anything like that. He'll probably just be a little Christmas ornament. So I'm not worried about him coming apart or anything. If I was, I would do maybe a zigzag or a blanket stitch. But because I'm not worried about that, because he's just going to be a little Christmas ornament, I'm just doing a straight stitch. Around his face. So there's that. Now I'm going to do the 1 inch side of the door and the top part of the door. And the tree trunk. So I hope this isn't confusing because I'm doing all 3 of these at the same time. I didn't want to keep you too long tonight since it's the middle of the week, although it is a holiday week. So I figure some of us are either have the week off or are not too worried anyway about it being the middle of the week. I have only one thing left to do tonight, and that is watch my basketball game. Because I am a basketball freak. So I sewed his little face on, and now I'm going to sew the bottom part where it is his blanket that's come up over his face. I gotta line this up because his face moved a little bit. There we go. And now I'm gonna do the door. And I'm just finger pressing these so I don't have to go to the iron in between. Somebody's trying to text me. I don't know who it is, but they're going to have to wait. Okay, now I just have one more thing to do before I can leave the sewing machine. The other side of the house. So there's the door. And I gotta put the other side of the house on. There we go. There's our little house. Here's our little gnome. There's the tree trunk. I'm just gonna press these. For these ones, I think I'm just going to use to make ornaments, Gwen. My little houses that I'm going to do for the 365 project are going to be a quilt because I have designed a little mini quilt. And I'm going to actually make 12 mini quilts and put them together and make one big quilt out of them. So here's our little house. Now I'm not going to, I mean, you guys know. All we're going to do is just sew these two pieces together. So I don't think I need to show you how to do that. I probably didn't even need to show you how to do these other parts, but I will show you what I'm going to do with his little nose. And here's the tree trunk. And I'm pressing toward the tree trunk. I always like to do what I think is going to make it look more real, I guess. I guess the background should go to the back and the foreground should go to the front. So I don't think I need to show you guys that we're sewing these two pieces together. That's the tree and the tree trunk. That's pretty darn cute. And then, of course, that's the house, just like this one. Here's our little guy. His face is done. All I have to do is sew his little nose on. And it's very tiny. So what I do is I have it hang over a little bit over to, so this is supposed to be his blanket and he's sleeping. In this one, he's smiling because his eyes are going up. This one is going to be sleeping. So when I sew his little nose on, I use a stiletto to hold it. I just take 1 or 2 stitches at a time and keep turning and turning, and then I can get his little nose sewn on just like that. And to make his little eyes, they don't have to be perfect. Nobody's perfect. So his eyes, these ones go up, which means he's smiling and happy and awake. But this one is going to be sleeping. We're going to say that this is his blanket and he's sleeping. So his eyes are going to curve down. And that means he's asleep. And then I'll probably put 1 or 2 little eyelashes on him. And these are going to get embroidered with some embroidery floss. Just like that. So let me hold it up closer so you can see. I didn't sew his nose on yet. And I'll hold this one closer so you can see. If you want him to be awake and smiling, his eyes go the other direction. Down if he's sleeping, up if he's smiling. And these are not sewn together, but I'll hold it closer so you can see it. There you go. And if you have any questions about the size of the pieces or whatever, just let me know and I'll tell you. Thanks, Gwen. They're super simple and they're cute. The finished size, Sean, the finished size of the triangle, this part is 2.5 inches square. And then altogether, the house is 4.5 by 2.5. The little gnome guy is 3.5 by 2.5. And the tree is 3 by 2.5. There's no place like gnome. You're so cute, Kim. Okay, so that was that. And did I was over and asking you questions but couldn't see your answers because I was away. So did anybody say, have you guys decided? Let's see. I did see somebody say they're going to make, Debbie said she's going to do her Prudence EPP. That should be beautiful. And the houses are fun and simple. Sean, the little houses that I designed, you should have gotten that in your email. If you didn't, just email me and I'll send you a link to it. Anybody who's in the club, the pattern is free. If you're not in the club, then I have it up for sale on my website for $4.50, and it's just a PDF. Okay, well, I have been talking to you guys for 45 minutes, so that's a long time for me. Normally, these are like 15-minute sessions. So I hope that you enjoyed this, and I will see you, if you're in the club, I'll see you on Thursday afternoon. And, oh, wait, not this Thursday because it is a holiday, but I'll see you for sure next Tuesday. And then Thursday next week for the club. If you have joined the 365 project, then you will be getting an email from me on, let's see, you'll be getting an email from me on Thursday and then another one on Friday, but I promise you I won't be sending you 2 a week from then on. I'm going to send one on Thursday just to remind you to get ready because we're going to start on Friday, and to get you start thinking about what you'd like to do and the very first step in making a habit. And then on Friday will be our kickoff email, and that will let you know what the first prize is and when your assignments are due to be eligible for the prize. If you have not signed up for the 365 project, you can go to my website, my website. There's a link on the website to the 365 project information, which is on my blog. My husband's yelling at the dog. Sorry about that. And then you can sign up there. There's a place to sign up for the emails. It doesn't cost anything. It's totally free. Going to be doing the project all year. You won't necessarily hear from me every week, but you will hear from me at least twice a month. And we'll be checking in to see how it's going. And excuse my barky dogs. Sorry about that. You're welcome, Jenny. Thanks for coming. So let me know, you guys, if you have any questions. And otherwise, if you are in the 365 project, you'll hear from me at the end of the week. And of course, the club hears from me all the time. Talk to you guys later. Bye.